Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama,
Srinidhi going Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji. We'll get started. So, welcome all for the today's Nityam Bhagavata session. We will hear the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12, Text 5 and 6 from His Grace Srinidhi Govinda. Prabhuji, over to you.
Okay, not many people are there, Prabhu. Is it okay to start?
They'll join, Prabhuji. They'll join. We'll get. Otherwise, then you'll have no time further. We'll get started.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Shranvatam Swakatha Krishna Punyashravana Kirtanaha Hridayantastu he abhadrani vidonati savritsatam tata rajastamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye tirranavidham sthitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhaktir yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Hare Krishna, I invite everybody for this Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So today we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12, text number 5 and 6.
Should I share, Prabhuji?
You can if you want, yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. I'll share.
Okay. Brahmana uvacha ayam jano nama chalan prithyavyam ya prithvaya parthiva kasya hetoho tasyapi changroyor adhi gulfa jangha januru madhyora shirodharam saha amsedhi dharve sibika chayasham Sauvira rajeti apadesha aste yasmin bhavan rudha nija bhimano rajasmi sindusva iti dhurmadhandaha brahmana uvacha ayam jano nama chalan prithvayam yai prithviva kasya hetuho तस्यापि चांग्योर अधिगुल्फजंघा जानूरु मध्योरशिरोधरां सह अंसेधि धार्वे शिबिका च यश्यं सौवीरराजेति अपदेश आस्ते यस्मिन् भवान् रूढ निजाभिमानो राजास्मि सिन्धुस्व इति धुर्मधन्दः ब्रह्मण उवाच अयं जनो नाम चलन् पृथ्वीवं यै पृथ्वीवः पृथ्वीवकाश्च हेतुः तस्यापि चाङ्घ्योरधिगुल्फजङ्घा जानूरुमध्योर्शिरोधरां सह अंसेभिधार्वी शिबिका च यस्यां सौवीरराजेति अपदेश आस्ते यस्मिन् भवान् रूढनिजाभिमानो Rajasmi Sindhusva iti dhurmadhandaha. Word by word meaning. Brahmana uvacha, the Brahmana said, I am this Janaha person, Nama celebrated as such, Chalan moving, Prithvivyam on the earth, Yaha who, Prithvivaha a transformation of the earth, Parthiva O king, who possesses a similar earthly body, Kasya for what, Hetuho reason, Tasya api of him also, Cha and Angryoho feet, Adhi above, Gulfaha ankles, Janga calves, Janu knees, Uru thighs, Madhyora waist, Shirodhara neck, Amshaha shoulders, Amshe shoulder, Adhi upon, Dharvi made of wood, Sibika palanquin, Cha and Yasyam of which, Savira Raja, the king of Savira, iti thus Apadeshaha known as Aste there is, Yasmin in which Bhavan your lordship, Rudha imposed upon, Nija Abhimanaha having conception of false prestige, Raja Asmi I am the king, Sindhusu in the state of Sindhu, iti thus Durmada Andaha captivated by false prestige. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The self-realized Brahmana Jadabharata said, among the various material combinations and permutations, there are various forms and earthly transformations. For some reason, these move on the surface of the earth and are called palanquin carriers. Those material transformations which do not move are gross material objects like stones. In any case, the material body is made of earth and stone in the form of feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, torso, throat, and head. Upon the shoulders is the wooden palanquin. And within the palanquin is so-called king of Savira. The body of king is simply another transformation of earth. But within the body, your lordship is situated and falsely thinking that you are the king of the state of Savira. Purport. After analyzing the material bodies of the palanquin carrier and the palanquin passenger, Jadabharat concludes that the living force is the living entity. The living entity is the offshoot or offspring of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, within the material world, among the moving and non-moving things, the real principle is Lord Vishnu. Due to his presence, everything is working, and therefore are the actions and the reactions. One who understands Lord Vishnu as the original cause of everything is to be understood to be perfectly situated in knowledge. Although he was falsely proud of being a king, King Rahuguna was not really situated in knowledge. Therefore, he was rebuking the palanquin carriers, including the self-realized Brahmana Jadabharata. This is the first accusation of Jadabharat made against the king, who was daring to talk to learned Brahmana from the filmy ground of ignorance and identifying everything with matter. King Rahuguna argued that the living entity is within the body, and that when the body is fatigued, the living entity within must therefore be suffering. It is clearly explained in the following verses that living entity does not suffer due to the body's fatigue. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example of child heavily decorated with ornaments. Although child's body is very delicate, he does not feel fatigue, nor do the parents think that his ornaments should be taken away. The living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures. These are simply mental concoctions. An intelligent man finds the original cause of everything. Material combinations and permutations may be a matter of a fact in worldly dealings, but actually the living force, the soul, has nothing to do with them. Those who are materially upset to take care of the body and manufacture Daridra Narayan, poor Narayan. However, it is not a fact that the soul or the super soul becomes poor simply because of the body of the poor. The soul and the super soul are always apart from the bodily pleasure of pain. Om Adhyanatimmirandasya Dhyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Jutapadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namavo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jagata Swami Namane Namah Acharya Padaya Nitamai Kripa Pradaya Gaura Katavada Madaya Hare Krishna. So we have been already discussing in the last 2 to 3 chapters about Jada Bharat, and even before that is a Bharat Maharaj, and after that we also discussed Bharat Maharaj incarnated as deer, and Jada Bharat here in the third incarnation. Fortunately, Jada Bharat knows the previous births. He also knows what mistake that he has done, having attached to the deer at the end of his life when he was Bharat Maharaj. So all these things have been already done. Here we find Jada Bharat is great, illuminated, a glorious sage. But playing the part of a sage who might be considered as a retarded, generally speaking. He has never spoken to anyone. He never went to school. His father tried so much, but he never went. He was working always in the fields. Here, after he has been chastised by King Rahuguna, he is revealing suddenly through his true colors and true knowledge that he is not what he appears to be. It's very interesting how at the beginning, when 4 palanquin carriers were carrying the king, and Jada Bharat was walking especially very slowly to make certain that he would not step on ants. He was very particular because in this life, he actually he was dead sure that he is going back to Godhead. And for that, he was making all arrangements that he is not going to make any sin or anything to step on ants, not talk to anybody. He just wants to meditate on Lord within his mind. All these things that he was following because he remembered his previous life. So consequently, therefore, the palanquin could not move as fast as other palanquin carriers were walking. Consequently, there was a shaking, sudden jerk within the palanquin, and naturally the king became slightly disturbed. Then he warned, the king warned, complained, why is it happening like this? Here, you can see a very good example of a person who is filled with lots of pride. King Rahuguna is in the mode of passion, and Jada Bharat is in the mode of pure goodness. Therefore, there is a modes mismatch here. So we will talk a little bit on the false pride, and also we'll also talk on a little bit on a real or a true pride a little later. how one is valuable and beneficial, and how the other is very harmful and destructive. I'm talking about the false pride, and the true pride is how valuable and beneficial, and which the king is right now has been manifesting the false pride. He chastises Jadabharat. He chastises in a sarcastic way, such as, "Oh, you must be very fatigued. You have been working alone, and you don't have any helpers. You've been carrying this palanquin for such a long time." Actually, Jadabharat is carrying the palanquin just for a minute or so. That king has been sarcastically talking to Jadabharat. So, Jadabharat is a very strong person. He has been working in the fields. He has got good muscles. And he says, you are not very strong. You look very old. You look like suffering from a disease in old age. Something like that, very sarcastic way he is talking. And he also says, maybe other 3 palanquin carriers are not cooperating with you. So obviously you must be having really strong problems. What's wrong with you? He is actually acting in such a manner, and he chastises him. And his position in that Jadabharat was just being inattentive. And Jadabharat knows that king's pride was being piqued. He was being disturbed. In other words, the king, who undoubtedly, normally these kings were sent to Gurukul in the earlier age. They actually, the gurus of the kingdom normally teaches them the Brahminical or Vedic teachings, teachings about self-realization. And, all these things are being taught in Gurukul. But quite often what happens when they come into the management, being a king, running the kingdom in defense, acquiring riches, dealing with problems of the kingdom, they always put these Vedic teachings in the background and put the material things in the front. The things dealing with accumulation of wealth, acquiring pleasure, all these things, they come in the front. The principles of self-realization, the God realization, they actually go background. So you can see a lot of examples in the past, like King Yudhishthir Maharaj, King Janak Maharaj, King Dasharath Maharaj, even King Parikshit Maharaj. They always use the principles to manage the kingdom, whatever they have learned in the Gurukul. As a result, most of the people in their kingdom were having God realizations, because they always rule as per the Vedic teachings. So generally, the kings, they think dealing with accumulation of wealth, all this acquiring knowledge and all these things, they think that all this wealth belongs to them. Actually, it belongs to Krishna. And Prabhupada actually often says about these kings, about Yudhishthir Maharaj and other things, he actually says, they are actually Rajarshis. The kings have to be Rajarshi. Prabhupada, many times, they act according to the Vedic teachings that they have learned in Gurukul. And very higher purpose is always two things: to remember God, never forget Him. So you can have wealth, no problem, but that wealth belongs to Krishna. You can have your pleasure within the regulation, but remember that Krishna is providing it for you. And he can also take it away from you. So don't complain when it does, because it is really being given by Krishna. So you can see in this case here, king was very proud, and he has sense gratification because he is actually sitting on the palanquin, and the 4 palanquin carriers are carrying him. He is being upset. His mood was very bad, and he starts talking to Jadabharat. How dare you can disturb me? How dare you can upset me? How can you do this? I'm a king. You are a servant. Huh? Don't you realize my glory, my greatness? Do you know who I am? And this is how he's talking. And when he was talking like this, Jadabharat smiles. And that smile should have told the king that he is not dealing with an ordinary person. Generally, these palanquins are carried by the Shudras, and these carriers, whatever king said, they will never talk. So Jadabharat was smiling at his stupidity and the foolishness of the king, and the ignorance in the sense that this king was so proud of his position, and he's thinking himself so great and so wonderful that he was now upset. He was now disturbed because his smooth ride was being jolted. This was the position of a king. And in Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse in 3rd chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Yesha Krodha Yesha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapna Vidyena Ihyavairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is all devouring sinful enemy of the world. Now, Jadabharat started to talk to the king in a bold, rather in a forthright way, very firm way. I just said, generally Shudras will never speak to the king. Whatever king gives them scolding, they never speak. So he spoke to the king in a very forthright, very firm way, in a direct manner. And he began to mention various things to him. He began to explain that the real reason that he is upset, the real reason is he's disturbed, and the reason he is so shaken is that he is completely identifying himself with a physical body. Doesn't really know who he is. He's thinking that he is being somehow disturbed. He is being somehow offended. In fact, there is no offense. There is no disturbance whatsoever. He said to the king that you are thinking that you are your body. You think that because of your bodily identification as a king, you can't be harmed, or you can't be disturbed, or I can't be shaken. This is basically your ignorance. And the result of the ignorance is that you are now upset. And this is the result of a false pride. So there is a mode mismatch, mode of passion, the mode of pure goodness. There is a result of not knowing how to do your duty and how to serve the Lord. But Bhagavad Gita again says, Yajnarthat karmano nitra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties not for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So, the sacrifice for Vishnu must be performed, otherwise work causes bondages in this material world. Which you perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction. In that way, you will be freed. This is a statement of Krishna to Arjuna. And he says that that is the true goal of all work prescribed. Jadabharat says, obviously you are not. Obviously, you are not offering your work to the Lord. You're taking it yourself. You're building all these, your kingdom, enriching your kingdom, all these things, acquiring new lands, many things, You're just building, with all these things, you're building a false ego. Is this getting bigger and bigger? The more paraphernalia that you have, the more beautiful clothes you have, the more beautiful wives and children you have, all these things that you are thinking, they're making you better and bigger and greater and higher. And remember, one day they all will be snatched from you and you have nothing. So that's all they are doing. They are not helping you at all. So you're thinking as a result of these accumulations, just like today, a lot of people have car, they have boat, some people even have airplane. They have big home. The more and more they are accumulating, and what they are accumulating basically is the false ego. The false ego is the idea that I am this body. Anything that I connect or I relate with this body, it's me or an extension of me. And the more I accumulate them, the bigger and greater or higher I get. And if I get bigger, then I am fulfilling my true material goal, and which, lord it over the nature. That's what I am here for. That's what I come into this world to become. That's what they think. So when the king is glorified, when he's adored, he's thinking, look how great I am. Generally speaking, people are bowing down to the king, they're glorifying the king, they're applauding. All these things, so wonderful glorification. This is a big illusion, and Jadabharat is saying. So, by telling this, he's little shaken up. He comes down from the palanquin. And, he's now mellowed down by hearing Jadabharat. So, Jadabharat is a saint, basically sage. He's calling him, actually king is calling him, you must be a big sage. You are here in a disguise. You must be some demigod, he's telling. He knows Jadabharat was speaking in a manner which ordinary people do not normally speak. He was speaking like a saint. Okay, Prabhu. And he was speaking with conviction, with faith, with determination, and always, sages speak like that. So, he was speaking very timidly and hesitantly and uncertain, he was speaking like that. He was not speaking any timidly or uncertainly, or anxiously. I am in front of the king, maybe he will punish me. In fact, the king was to punish him for walking the way he was, but he wasn't afraid because he wasn't identifying himself with his body. So, Jadabharat is a great sage, was not afraid. You know, he wasn't afraid of anything because he knew who really he was. And that's a very important point. So he goes on and he basically explained to the king how his false pride was caused him so much unrest and so much uncertainty and so much doubt. So this false pride, as I said, it makes you think you're something or someone that you're really not. And this is something we all have to learn. We should not think that because, we are devotees, therefore we can't have any false pride. Anytime somebody gives us a compliment, anytime somebody praises us, anytime that our name is spoken in a glorified way, and it is very natural for us to fall into a trap of identifying ourselves with that praise or that glory. Yes, it's me. And the next step is, well, it's me, then I'm special. I have something the others don't have. That puts me on a higher level than everybody else. And once we fall into that horrible trap, that's the time Krishna starts pulling or withdrawing a little bit of his opulence or bliss from that devotee. But rather taking the glories to ourselves, we must pass these glories to our spiritual masters, because my spiritual master has given me that knowledge, coming through disciplic succession. So I am able to speak, I'm able to do this work. So we should actually pass on this to spiritual master and Krishna, and both will be pleased, and you start to experience pure bliss, pure peace, pure freedom, pure knowledge, rather than feeling emptiness. When Krishna starts pulling, these are internally coming bliss, internally coming peace, internally feeling freedom, internally, Krishna gives us knowledge. So when he starts pulling these things, we feel empty. Rather than feeling the emptiness, causes him to feel very, very dry. Emptiness will cause very dry. When you are empty and dry, what we normally do is we actually go for an external pleasure, external bliss, external knowledge. Because nature of the soul is always to be blissful. And if a person is serving Krishna with love in his heart, then he's going to be blissful because Krishna does reciprocate. So, if not immediately, then certainly a little bit later on, but he certainly does reciprocate. But when Krishna stops reciprocating and the soul feels very empty and feels very lonely, so he looks for a pleasure outside. So actually the real pleasure that comes from connection with Krishna, he is getting his needs from some other kind of pleasure. That is when he begins to start stimulate the tongue, stimulate the nose, stimulate genitals, skin, ears, eyes. He looks for other external pleasures because there are no longer internal pleasures coming, because he is feeling a false pride inside. So with the internal pleasures stops coming, he starts to fall down and he starts moving downwards. So this is the result, that there is an old saying says, pride goes before the fall. And that's exactly what it means, that as long as one thinks he's special, superior, greater, higher, the false ego will run ropes around. We don't even know that we are being tightened. If it's a genuine outpouring of a person actually feels that, yes, this person, he didn't have to give me any praise. He didn't have to salute me. He didn't have to offer praise to me. He didn't have to glorify me. He did this because he wanted to express his love to Krishna through me. And if he is doing, and then of course, I thank him very much. Sometimes, we see devotees. If some devotee will praise him or offer him something, he would say, no, I am too fallen. A lot of people say this, I'm too fallen. Don't give me any praise. Don't do like that. And sometimes, Prabhupada actually mentions that is also a false ego. It's on a subtle way. Actually, if somebody is praising a devotee for doing something good, immediately what we should do is we should offer that to spiritual master and Krishna. And that actually, it comes from Krishna. We should accept it graciously and take it and offer it back to spiritual master and Krishna. Leave it to their lotus feet. So you have the right to perform your prescribed duty. Bhagavad Gita says, you're not entitled. Karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhyo mate sangotsva karmani. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of results of your activities and never attach to not doing your duty. So, you should never consider to be the cause of the results of our activity. Never be attached to them. So, we take those, whatever praises, or whether they are gifts or the glorifications, and internally, it does not mean that we have a big display. So what we should do is we should offer them back to spiritual master and Krishna. My dear Lord, my dear Lord, I know that all this is coming from you. So please, I offer it back to you because you are the cause of all causes. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. You are the cause of all causes. You are causing that person to venerate me or respect me or honor me. And therefore, because you are the cause of it, and you are giving me the ability, which is inducing it, which is causing it, I give it back to you. And this is done mentally. So when it is done mentally, there is no big show. There is no big display. It's all done inside as an interchange between the heart of a devotee and the heart of the Lord. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tu aham madanyate janati naham tebhyo managapi. The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart. I am always in the heart of the pure devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anything else but them. The Lord says this. So this is the loving exchange that goes on within. It goes on even outside. When we worship the deity, this particularly happens to me. When the kirtan was going on, a lot of people actually dance. And some people, when they stand in front of the deity, the tears are flowing from their eyes. But I don't have that love for Krishna. All that we have to do is, I don't know why I don't have that love for Krishna. I don't know this. It is, if we have, many times I'm thinking, I pray to Lord, why am I not having this kind of a love? So probably, um, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not doing right. No, maybe I'm not thanking the Lord. This happens to me. So when we worship the deity, lot of times, we see devotees, when the kirtan was going on, they dance, clap. All this does not mean it has to be a false ego. If we are actually doing this in a genuine appreciation of the mercy that Krishna is bestowing upon us, then actually we are thanking him in our mind. Thank you so much for letting me look at you in this beautiful form of these beautiful cloths, of this beautiful headdress, gorgeous garlands and ornaments, and so many things. Thank you so much. Such a rare opportunity. Millions of people out there, they are not looking at you. But I have this incredible opportunity to look at you. This wonderful privilege to look at you, the Supreme Lord. How great is my destiny? How glorious is this moment? This is what we should start thinking when you stand in front of the Lord. So, this is the feeling. So, in that mood, why one should not jump? Why one should not clap? Why should I run on the ground? Lord Chaitanya would even fall on the ground like a mad person. He would go crazy. On the other hand, this should not be done simply for the show. Imitating somebody who is genuinely feeling the true devotion, putting on a show does not get closer to Krishna. But if we actually are not feeling that kind of a devotion or that kind of a love, we should pray for it. Krishna, I don't have that love for you. I am not feeling like that. He jumping up and down. He's almost hitting the ceiling. I don't feel that, please, Krishna. Fill my heart with such a love. When I see you in front of you, when I stand in front of you, you have done so much for me. I should thank from bottom of my heart, and tears should come in my eyes. Then I'm not getting any tears. So I will not be able to feel that true and genuine ecstasy. So please give me that ecstasy. Please give me that love. That is actually, that is the prayer that we should do. We should do this in front of the Lord. But when this is, the pride should go on, get away from our mind. So we have to think that we are the spirit souls. Our position is 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair. That is our size. That is our position. And in that position itself, we are thinking a false pride. Now, I was telling about the true pride and the false pride. The true pride is, take that glory, take that, whatever praise that the devotees are doing, offer it back to spiritual master and Krishna. So when we feel our connection with Krishna, our relationship with Krishna, and Krishna is the greatest and highest and the best and the biggest and I am connected. I am his son or a daughter, like the little child. He is the originator. He is the cause of all causes. And when we are proud, when from the point of view this is coming from Krishna, then I am very grateful and glad that I can be a recipient, or I can be an instrument, a transmitter of Krishna's opulence or glory. Yes, I am very proud that I don't take it to myself, I give it to Krishna. Whereas a selfish pride, I take it to myself and I totally forget Krishna. So there's many film stars that you can see, movie stars. You never hear God coming from their mouth at all. Because a lot of people are praising today, even if they are in jail, and so many people are talking about it, even the crime that they have done, people are talking that he has not done, and there are so many fans today in the world, and this is crazy, basically. So sometimes we get a lot of people, we do housewarming ceremonies and they glorify Krishna. They get academy awards, and they glorify it just because of Krishna. I'm getting this. He has given me that intelligence from within. So it comes automatically. Praising Krishna, for getting any award or getting anything in your life, it is all because of Krishna. So that should be our goal. We should serve Krishna in this mood and in that genuine humility. So whatever I do, whatever I eat, whatever I offer, whatever I give, I offer it simply because he is the one who has given it. I have to give it back to him. I have to thank him. So um, I have to try and give every moment of our life. Even though I am unsuccessful in my endeavor, please help me. Please help me give you my every moment until I reach that point that in my life where I never forget you, Krishna. Basically, there are only two principles that we hear all the time. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. But remember in the mode of love and appreciation and glorification. And to never forget him because he is always looking out for us, always caring us, making certain that we get what we need to advance to the next highest level. So if you see the purport, it's a beautiful purport that Prabhupada is giving a lot of examples in the purport that the nature of the soul, if you are fatigued, the soul is not fatigued. So he's giving an example of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur putting the ornaments on a child. So all these things are so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if child is heavily decorated with ornaments, although child's body is very delicate, he does not feel fatigued, nor do parents think that his ornaments should be taken away. The living entity has nothing to do with the bodily pains and pleasures. These are simply mental concoctions. So beautiful purports you can see that, Jadabharat is talking to that King Rahuguna, that the body is made of Pancha Mahabhutas, Praktehe Kriya Karmani, Guna Karmani Sarvashaha, Ahankara Vimudatma, Kartaham Iti Manyate, Bhumirapo Nalovayo, Kammano Buddhirevacha. So he's talking about even the body. Palanquin is made of Pancha Mahabhutas. Your body is made of Pancha Mahabhutas because you are living there, because there is a soul inside. You have, your soul is 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair, and you are having false pride. So there's a beautiful analogy coming out of this particular verse. So I stop here. So what we discussed today is there is a difference between the false pride and the true pride. And King is, having a lot of false pride, identifying himself with the body. whereas Jadabharat is a sage, basically in pure goodness, because he knows the past 2 lives. So he was like a retarded person, but he's a great sage. He wants to be like that and go back home, back to Godhead in this life. So there are 2 different things that we have understood today from this particular verse. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. I'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, please do so. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Srinidhi Govinda. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. And you did summarize it, but a few points that are really calling you mentioned here was how entanglement in material world puts us in a precarious position. Especially an example was King Rahuguna, where Jadabharat perfectly identified how he was in a he was identifying himself with the body, and with all those wealth and all those opulence that he had. Especially we have this hoarding mentality, and which directly leads to false ego that it is mine. So wonderfully put it, probably. And then in this case, glorification was one of the so-called opulence, which actually leads to fueling false ego. But then Jadabharat calls this as illusion. And wonderful point that you made was how to deal with glorification, Roger. That was really amazing. And you actually gave us steps. So you said, if glorified, which actually would put us in a trap, because we feel special that we've done something great. And then what happens is Krishna then withdraws the opulence that what he has given. He will withdraw that, and that is when the problem starts, as you said, because once that is withdrawn, it becomes empty and dry, and then we seek external pleasure, and then we fall in this vicious cycle or a trap. So nice, Prabhuji. So nice, wonderful point. But then you said what best we can do is, and what we should do is give all this, pass on all this glorification, the glories that we praises that we get to our spiritual master and Krishna. So that way we are safe. So nice, Prabhuji. And one beautiful point which you also made was we being so insignificant, what is our position? But being so insignificant also, we tend to keep all these places and accumulate all this hold all these things. But it is always safe to nurture humility. There is no reason for being egoistic or proud, and we should thank Krishna for everything. So, and the prayer always is to hanker more, to serve and gain the love of the Lord. So, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful, wonderful class. Thank you. So, I think that the lines are open. Devotees can unmute and ask questions. Hare Krishna. Please let me know if you're able to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Such a wonderful class about the glorification. So I was so happy to hear so many points. I had so many doubts, and you have cleared all the doubts. And I know, Prabhu, how difficult it is to give so much of information and to follow for us also. It's so difficult. So many times we'll think, whatever we heard, it's so easy. Yes, we have to practice. But practically, when we are doing and passing on all the glorification to Guru Parampara or Guru Maharaj, so it is so difficult with that ego. It will fight with us so much. Yes, Prabhu, but definitely we all should practice, and we require all your prayers, Prabhu, to practice it. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Srinidhi Govinda, Prabhu. Dandas pranams to you. Very nice to hear you after a long time. Very nice to see you here. And I'm very happy to note that you're also recovering very nicely after the operation. So very nice to hear you, Prabhu. Prabhu, actually the class was so wonderful. You brought out a very important point about how we need to pass on any praise that comes our way, which is very, very difficult to do also, but then we will have to do it. But Prabhuji, I had one small question around this. So you were mentioning that we need to pass it on in the mind. So is there any specific reason why it should be done in the mind, or should we not be vocal?
You can also say that it's all the mercy of Guru and Krishna, no?
So,
Normally, connection is, see, our connection, internal connection, because everything coming from internal, our connection has to be always from internal to spiritual master and Krishna. We are praying inside, don't give me a false ego because I will not take it. Like that, So, internally, you just offer it back to Krishna, spiritual master and Krishna, Guru and Krishna. That is the best way of that we do.
Okay. So if I understand right, like now somebody is saying something, okay, very nice, and then we just in our mind offer it, or we can say it out aloud.
We can also say it. It is all, it's coming, it's a mercy coming from Guru and Krishna.
Correct. So we can be vocal. We should be.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. Thanks, Guru. Thanks for clarifying that. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments from devotees? I think there are none, Prabhuji. Thank you so much once again, Prabhuji. Wonderful class, and we will expect to hear more from you in the next future.
Thank you, Guru.
So thank you so much. We'll end with the Vaishnava pranams.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you. Dear devotees, we'll meet tomorrow again. I will